Mazda, an automotive brand known for its innovative engineering and sometimes unconventional approaches to automotive design. If Mazda is known for anything outside of its Miata, it would have to be their long and oil-soaked journey with the rotary engine. For decades, Mazda had utilized this unique style of engine to power many of their vehicles, and now about 12 years after the last rotary power Mazda rolled off the production line, we are left with a litter of used cars that reek of oil and have low compression numbers. So, what happened to the rotary engine? Why did Mazda stop making them, and will we ever see the return of the rotary engine? To help understand, we of course need to start from the beginning. The history of the rotary engine is an interesting one to say the least. As much as Mazda has been known for putting the rotary engine in their vehicles, they were not the original inventors of this style of engine. You may have at some point heard rotary engines be referred to as a winkle. Older people love calling them winkles. I don't know why, but this is due to the original designer of the rotary engine, whose name so happened to be Felix Wankel. Felix Wankel, he was a lot, all right? How do I put this? He was born in Germany in 1902, grew up in, a time and place that was going through a lot of historic things, and may have found himself involved with a group of not so great individuals known as the National Socialist German Workers' Party. Anyway, the idea of the rotary engine, you not, came to Felix in a dream, and he worked on developing this unique version of an internal combustion engine for some time. The concept was first unveiled in 1954, and wouldn't be until 1957 that the first prototype DKM54 would brap for the very first time. And even though it was initially met with a lot of issues and concerns from the public, the Wankel or rotary engine eventually found its way into things like the Suzuki RE5 motorcycle and the Arctic Cat snowmobiles of the early 70s. At the same time, the rotary caught the attention of one specific automobile manufacturer. Any guesses on who that was? Of course, it was Mazda. And in May of 1967, Mazda unveiled the Mazda Cosmo Sport, which debuted as the world's first production car powered by a Mazda 2-rotor rotary engine. Since then, Mazda rotary engine has been through countless renditions and has found itself in a variety of Mazda sports coupes, luxury cars, and even race cars, and including the cars we know most today, the RX-7 and the RX-8. Now, the concept of the rotary engine in and of itself is an amazing feat of technology and engine design. They are compact engines that are able to produce similar output numbers compared to traditional internal combustion engines with pistons. They cause minimal vibrations due to the rotational design, and of course, they just sounded neat. So what went wrong? Well, first of all, Mazda hit the market with the rotary engine at the wrong time. Rolling into the 70s, the EPA was cracking down on vehicle emissions and introduced the Clean Air Act, which was set to reduce vehicle emissions from new automobiles by 90% by 1975. First of all, if you didn't know, rotary engines are built to burn oil. The only way to lubricate the seals of the engine is to meter in oil, which then gets burnt off. Definitely not the best way to make friends with the EPA. Secondly, because of the way the combustion chamber is shaped, the thermal efficiency of rotary engines are much lower, meaning that you often get unburnt fuel leaving the engine through the exhaust, which is also why you see all those dope videos of RX-7 shooting massive flames out their exhaust. Even though a lot of those restrictions have been worked around and in some cases lifted, it doesn't take away from the fact that the rotary powered cars don't get the best gas mileage, even when compared to other sport oriented vehicles. Trust me, I own a Mazda RX-8 and that thing just slams gasoline like a college kid slams bush lights at a bonfire. If government restrictions and stopping every other day to fill up on gas weren't enough, there was another key issue here that was brought to life with this new form of engine. Of course, we have to talk about it. You all knew it was coming. It's probably the reason you clicked on this video in the first place. It's time to talk about the overall reliability issues that the rotary engine is known for. Now, you don't even have to know anything about rotary engines to know that the apex seal failure is the demise of the rotary engine. It's what everyone jokes about when they hear or talk about rotary engines, and arguably what they are most known for. In a traditional piston engine, your pistons have compression rings which are responsible for creating the compression that makes your engine run. In a rotary engine, since we have no pistons and we have spinning triangles and funny shaped housings, apex seals are installed in each corner of the rotor to separate the three chambers from each other and create the compression of the engine. Unfortunately, these types of seals are prone to a lot of wear, which unfortunately, when the time comes, will wear down to the point where you will start to lose most, if not all, of your compression in your engine. In turn, you'll be low on on power or the engine won't even run at all. And as you can imagine, the only way to fix this is to have the entire engine rebuilt, which can get really pricey. Now here's the thing, the apex seals are only one part of the many things that can go wrong inside of these engines. However, everything else that can fail or can go wrong, pretty much 90% leads to the premature failure of these apex seals, which is why you will always hear about the seals failing, but maybe not so much as to why they failed so early. Carbon buildup, seal spring failure, coolant seal failure, insufficient lubrication, hot spots in the engine, are all just a few things that have some nasty effects on these engines and can lead to an early demise. These problems have faced the rotary engine since the beginning. However, there was one car that brought a majority of these problems to the limelight. And that car, of course, was the Mazda RX8. The 1.3 liter two-rotor Renesis rotary engine that was introduced in the Mazda RX8 in 2003 is the red-headed stepchild of the rotary world. This engine was faced with so many problems and negative feedback from the community that it may be considered the sole reason as to why Mazda has discontinued the rotary engine forever. Coming off the years of the FD RX7, Mazda wanted to introduce a successor with more tech, a revised engine, and for some reason, 2 more doors. Unfortunately, this led to what most consider the least desirable version of the 13B Mazda engine ever produced. And as the years of the RX-8 went on, Mazda attempted to right their wrongs. However, they realized that without introducing a completely new engine, they were pretty much stuck. And by the end of 2012, Mazda built the final RX-8, which is the last time we saw one of their famous rotary engines roll out of the factory. So if you were to ask, what killed the Mazda rotary engine? It's actually a combination of a few different things. According to Mazda, they ended the use of the rotary engine in their production vehicles due to the poor fuel efficiency and emissions that came along with it. On the other hand, if you were to look at the sales of the RX-8 here in the United States year over year, it also was not good. People were just not with the rotary anymore, and understandably so. And even with all that, believe it or not, there are still a good amount of rotary enthusiasts out there in the world being happy. I mean, the RX-7 is still an insanely sought after JDM legend, and there's still a following for these engines and their platforms. Pretty much since the final RX-8 rolled off the line in 2012, the question has been, when will the next rotary powered Mazda be unveiled? Will we ever see the introduction of the RX-9? If you've been keeping any sort of eye on Mazda recently, you will know that they aren't quite done with the rotary engine just yet, as they've been experimenting with different uses for it, mostly as a range extender for their hybrid and EV vehicles like the Mazda MX-30 and the Sky Active R technology. They've even teased a similar drivetrain for their new iconic SP that was unveiled at the Tokyo Auto Show just a few months ago. Even with all of this, and as much as I would love for a new rotary powered sports car from Mazda, I do believe that we have seen the end of the road for the rotary engine in the way that we have always seen it. As much as it pains me to say it, outside of the novelty, it just wouldn't really make sense for Mazda to do it. And it looks like they have their eyes set on the future and moving forward in a different direction. But, I could also be wrong, and an RX-9 announcement could literally come out at any point, and I don't know, it could just happen. But I would like to know your thoughts on all this down in the comments below. Thank you all so much for watching. I'm Gels, and if you are looking to modify your car, remember to mod your car at Martini Works.